Dr. Alison Watters was recently appointed to the board of LIC, the farmer-owned dairy genetics company. Scottish by birth, but resident in New Zealand since she was 3, Alison studied agriculture at Massey University, gaining a PhD in human nutrition. She became a director of human nutrition at Massey, then a role at Fonterra followed, commercialising food innovation, before the opportunity came to use her training and experience in the governance role at LIC.
I never ever thought I'd be into farming, although as a child I desperately wanted to, but my parents were right in the middle of town. And I used to sort of think one day like all little girls, one day I'll have a horse and live on a farm, and my parents said, don't be ridiculous, we live in the middle of a town. And really it just stemmed from there. I went through school, really enjoyed the biology, the sciences, and ended up at university thinking that this is it, I'm going to go and be the world's best vet. Of course, not realising that it's an extremely hard degree to get into, and also it's an extremely tough career to be in as well. But I was at university, met my now husband, and he said, have you thought about the primary industry? What's that? I said. I just didn't really know what the primary industry was, and so that was my first introduction into farming. And the farm you see behind me now was really where Andrew brought me. He said, this is a farm, this is a dairy farm, this is what we do, and I was hooked. It was just what I wanted to do. Had some big calves? Yeah. But no problems calving, they seem to be getting them out okay. Yeah. We've share milked on this place. So I did an agricultural science degree at Massey, which really was a vocational degree because I thought that's what I wanted to do. Didn't know where it would take me, but was fairly confident that it's the sort of degree that takes you anywhere and everywhere really, because of the very broad training you get, from animal science to soil science to farm management to marketing and accounting. Practically everything you touch in a business was covered in that degree. So I thought, oh yes, I'm going to be a farm advisor, and that's what I was going to do, because at that stage Andrew was heading down that same path. Really, we both had professional careers. I actually ended up going back into science, having worked for the dairy board for a couple of years, went back to university and did a PhD in animal science or nutritional science. Thought, yes, this is me, this is my career. Andrew had his consultancy career, but then in about 98, 99, we said, actually, let's go farming. So we did go farming, and we ended up share milking on this place. One of the very special things about this farm that we see here is that we're very much into trees and into natural bush and to protecting the waterways, as we all should be. So we've gone for irrigation systems that don't require the removal of trees. We've got lots of trees planted. We've got very much focus on sustainability of the farm around us. And so that, for me, is what really healthy dairy farming is about. This farm is a fascinating history. It's actually been in my husband's family for 5 generations, so our 2 daughters will be looking to inherit, along with their cousins, a 6th generation farm, which is pretty rare in New Zealand. So I think we've actually been physically farming this place for over 150 years. It's got a milking platform of about 180 hectares, but that's because we've joined 2 farms together. We've sort of bought a neighbouring farm and put the 2 together. It's fantastic, and as you can see behind me too, it's very much tree-orientated farm, and it's got beautiful rivular alluvial soils. We do get floods almost every year. We get a flood come through because the Ruamahanga River circles right around the outside of the farming area, but that actually gives us good fertile soil, and as long as we manage it and look after it, and it's a bit of a challenge for the farm manager, especially in spring, but because of it we've just got such terrific grass growing potential. So it's a wonderful place to be, and it's nestled right here at the edge of the Ruamahanga. With the 180 hectare milking platform, we're calving 630 cows this year, maybe looking to full peak milk 600 cows or thereabouts. And last year's production was 249,000 kilograms of milk solids, and we'd like to think we could top that this year. We're probably running about a system 3.5 or 4. We've got quite a lot of bought-in feed, but we do tend to try and have a good grass system where we're harvesting as much tonnage of grass as we can and turning that into milk. But we do support that with some palm kernel and with some maize silage.
Yeah, so
how badly were you hammered?
not too bad. This is probably this week's.
Right.
And yeah, the covers haven't dropped too bad.
That's great.
There's just a lot of silt in the paddock, that's all.
Yeah. Mind you can just avoid those paddocks.
Yeah.
We've got a really good farm manager who started with us this year. He's taken over from Ross Karam, who'd been with us for 11 years. We've got a good system, but we're always looking to improve it. So where we can bring in automation that looks to help our decision-making process in particular, then we're all for actually trying out new things. But We are actually in a consolidation mode as well. We've built a new shed 4 years ago. We're really trying to maximise our utilisation of that. And I genuinely believe we could carry more cows on here, but we don't want to push right through to fully bought-in feed type systems because we still have got good grass growing, so we need to utilise that. For us, environmental issues are absolutely front of mind because because this is an old farm and it's been through many generations, we have a real passion for keeping this farm healthy. And therefore, and also because we are right beside the river, we're very, very conscious of runoff and making sure that we are protecting those waterways. So we do nutrient balancing, we fertilise very selectively based on soil tests, and we effluent spread very particularly based on soil type. So we are very much aware of keeping the effluent burden and the nutrient burden of the soils at minimum that we can to still have a productive farm but also healthy environment. When the LIC opportunity came up, I was very excited, very enthusiastic about it, but realised I actually had to work pretty hard to make sure farmers knew who I was and what I stood for when I put my name forward for the board. So really excited about it. It is male dominated, but that's essentially what we do with the primary industry. It always has been, but I think that's changing. And in reality, the skills and attributes that the different genders, both male and female, bring to a board is well recognised, and most boards around New Zealand are actually having a push for gender balance. I don't necessarily think that was LIC's push, and they certainly didn't approach me with that scenario.
So how long before these ones go out?
I'll have as long as I can, keep them until the level finds up.
The opportunity I've got with the LIC board being the first female on the board just means that it's a different gender on the board, because what I'm bringing to the LIC board is more my scientific and commercial experience. Sure, a female approach is always going to be through a different set of lenses, but I don't think that's any different to the different personalities you get around a board. And for me, it's the science and it's the commercial impact.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.